I have been teaching this program about 20 years, even before I went to Grouard. And I had found out about this program in a very strange way. And just want to share with you that little story. I find it it's almost a coincidence, but in my heart, I call it a God thing. And so many, many years ago, I had a company that sold materials to homeschoolers, curriculums to homeschoolers. And I was living in Okotoks at the time. Do you know where Okotoks is? Yeah, just south of Calgary. And Andrew Pudewa was one of the men who would go up to Grouard every year to learn from Dr. Webster. And he was on his way up from Moscow, Idaho, to Grouard one summer. And he was passing through Okotoks when his car broke down. And Andrew had been attending Grouard for a number of years, had already put together Dr. Webster's materials in a format that homeschoolers could use, and was producing this and publishing it. Anyway, so his car breaks down near Okotoks. A lady stops to find out what the problem is, because her husband is a mechanic, so naturally she thought she'd just stop. So she stops and she starts to talk to Andrew, and Andrew says, well, I'm going up to Grouard and I work with homeschoolers. And she says, oh, I'm a homeschooler. So she says, why don't you come over to my house? I'll take you home. My husband will go out and fix your car and you can stay for supper. So he did. So then she says, I know this lady in Okotoks who sells materials to homeschoolers, and perhaps you should meet her. And so that night, Andrew Pudewa came to my house and talked to me about this program and said, I have materials that I sell. And I said, well, I should have those, and I could sell them to the Canadian homeschoolers. So that's when I became the distributor of Andrew Pudewa's materials, which are based and very close to Dr. Webster's materials that he was teaching. So I call that my God thing, because who would have thought that somebody's car would break down and he would end up at my house in the same kind of line of work. Anyway, so then I was learning this material from the DVDs that he had produced and the materials he had produced, and I was having great success with it, and I was teaching children, and I was teaching parents. And then one year Andrew said, well, I can't go to Grouard, so you should go to Grouard and help Dr. Webster. So I did. Grouard is a long way north, is it not? And when you drive there by yourself and you enter the reserve, and it's like, oh my goodness, I was coming there at night. And I'm going, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know. Anyway, I enter this place, and it was a wonderful week. I really enjoyed it. That was the first time I met Dr. Webster or had done any teaching. And in fact, I entered his classroom, and he looked at me and he said, you must be Bev. You can teach this unit. Goodbye. That's what he did to me. So he left. And so that is very typical of Dr. Webster. He's quite an eccentric man, if you have not met him. He taught for many years in northern Saskatchewan and in Alberta and BC, taught school, and then he actually went to started teaching PhD students, university students, and PhD students, and was actually dean of university he went to Africa and was teaching at universities there and became the dean of a university there, and then came back to Canada and was at the University of Dalhousie, where he was training PhDs in African history. But what he discovered in the university there was that nobody knew how to write. And so he began to develop this program even more to help university students learn how to write, because university students have a difficult time writing essays. And just a little side here, when I went to university, I didn't know how to write essays. I didn't know how to write reports. I don't know what happened to me in high school. But I get to university, and my first year I had to attended a class, and they said, okay, well, you have an essay due next week. And I went, oh my, I shouldn't be in this class. So the next year I was a smarter university student, and I decided that I would look for courses that First of all, didn't start at 8 o'clock in the morning and didn't require any writing. Okay, so that was the way I made it through my university. I took accounting, so it was fairly easy not to have to write essays. So that's my degree is in accounting. But then I started, got bored with accounting and got into all of this, which is much more enjoyable than accounting work. You can talk to people and be with people instead of numbers.